Being an antisocial person starts as a child. Starts around your childhood years, leads into your teenage years. And it's just a combination of bad experiences with people. That's all. Bad experiences with friends, bad experiences with family, bad experiences with the opposite sex. All those experiences are negative reinforcement. These aren't positive experiences. All that negative reinforcement a person experiences around those ages really does define them as a person mentally when it comes to the outer world and how they see people. So as an adult, these people tend to be antisocial to themselves. You know, they go on vacation by themselves. They go to the gym by themselves. They go out to eat by themselves. You know, they do a lot of things by themselves because they feel better, they feel comfortable, they feel more happier by themselves. And you'll get people that will look at these kind of people and point the finger and say they're weird, you know, why they don't be around nobody, why they don't have no friends, you know, why are they so off to themselves? And you know, people don't understand. People don't want to be antisocial. People become antisocial because they have no choice. A lot of stuff in life it's hard for a lot of people to deal with because they've gone through so much pain. And people on the other side of that got positive reinforcement, that had successful friendships, had successful romantic relationships with the opposite sex, that had good, strong relationships in their family, that was socially being accepted through their younger years, all the way through their high school years and their college years. Those people, they grow up to be a lot more socially inclined. Those are the people that look at people that are antisocial as weirdos, as creeps. Because at the end of the day, they don't understand how somebody could just always be by themselves. And it makes sense because they didn't live their life. They didn't live their life. And you can't understand something that you haven't lived. And it's one of those situations where you have to understand that being antisocial is all based around bad experiences with people throughout that person's life that has created them into who they are in their adulthood years. And you know, honestly, I'm a person where I consider myself an antisocial person that is really good at socializing. I'm what you call a hybrid. You know, I spend a lot of time to myself. But when I am around people, I know how to socialize. I know how to talk to people. I'm not an awkward person, you know? But I steer away from large crowds because for me, that's just not my scene. If I'm around people, I like to be around an intimate setting where I somewhat know who I'm around and we all kind of know each other, you know? That's what I prefer if I were to be social. Of course, sometimes you got to go places and there's a lot of people there. And of course, you got to still know how to maneuver and be able to be sociable with people that you may not know. And I do fairly well with that. But what I prefer, I ain't gonna lie to you, I prefer being by myself to a degree. To a degree. Of course, I love the company of a woman, the companionship of a woman. You know, I love to be around my genuine, real friends, and I only have maybe two, honestly, to be honest with you, that I consider people that I would put in that friend category, but I don't call anybody friends, you know. I would say people that I'm cool with. You know, I got two people that I knew since middle school all the way up through high school, up to my adulthood that, you know, we've been on and off as, you know, what we are, but we're still cool. And it's funny, I kind of still want to say they're my friends, you know, but it's like, I've learned as I've grown up that we don't have friends. You know, having friends ends after high school. As an adult, you have people that you work with, you know, people that you are collaborating with, people that you socialize with. Does not make them your friends. So in my case, I have two people that I believe that I'm cool with. You know what I'm saying? But again, I can understand the antisocial thing, because I do consider myself antisocial. And it's because I had bad experiences with friends. I had bad experiences with women. I've had bad experiences with family, but not to a high degree. You know, not to a high degree. I've had success with women. I've had success with friends. I've had success with family. Like, it's half and half. I think I always remind myself it's never as bad as how I think it is, because there's somebody out there that truly did have tremendously terrible experiences with people, with women, with their family. So I know for me, it's probably peanuts. It's probably a bucket of peanuts to somebody else. But again, I've had good and bad. And I think for me, the bad was enough for me to be a little standoffish and kind of realize, yeah, this really ain't for me in excess, you know? But in general, like, somebody that has gone through the extreme of just negative reinforcement with people, I understand why they're antisocial, and I don't blame them. You know, I don't blame them, man, because a lot of us go through life with a lot of circumstances and challenges that we didn't ask to be in and we didn't ask to have, and we still have to figure out a way to get up the next day and make the best of it. And for some people, being antisocial is the best thing for them. That is the best way they know how to get through the day, through the week, through the month, through the years. As long as they're being active and they're pursuing a career and they're keeping themselves together physically, mentally, and working on themselves spiritually, and keeping in contact with their true immediate family and whatever. Like, long as they are living a life that they feel is satisfactory, that's all that matters. Me on the outside looking in, me thinking they're a weirdo or creep, it don't matter. Right? Because in the day, that's how they live in their life. You know? But I don't judge a person that's antisocial, because I understand where it comes from. At one point in time, I was completely antisocial. Didn't talk to nobody. Nobody. Besides my mother, my brother, and my grandmother. That's about it. But people that I was cool with, we wasn't on good terms at one point. You know, I felt some kind of way about certain things that was going on behind the scenes that I was feeling, and I went the other way. And they felt some kind of way, but we still keep in contact because it wasn't really nothing that was obvious that was happening. But of course, you know, you got your gut feeling on things, you got your instincts, and you know, you just learn, hey, you know, end of the day, I don't care to figure out what's going on. I'm just gonna go the other way and do me. So for that period of time, I was really 100% dolo. And I'm gonna tell you like this, you deal with loneliness, but it's mixed with peace. And when somebody's antisocial, best believe they may be at peace. They may feel they're at peace, but they are dealing with being lonely. And that is a side effect of being an antisocial person, is that you are going to experience a high level of loneliness at some point, and that could lead to depression. And it's hard to balance out how to deal with that if you're a person that just doesn't like to be around people, you know? And the only thing I was able to do to pull me out of that dark hole of being 100% antisocial was realizing that ain't nobody thinking about me like that. You know, I'm not that important to people like how I think I am. You know, you got to take that egotistical mindset about yourself out of the picture for a moment and realize that everybody is thinking about themselves and what they have going on in their life. You know, it's nothing that you're going to do to somebody that's going to dramatically make them draw 1,000% attention to you. Like, You're just another person to people. And when you realize that, like, you can still be around people, and just keep in mind, nobody's thinking about you like that. You don't have to give all your attention to that one person that's giving you the weird look, or that's giving you an attitude or whatever. Of course, they're being an asshole. They want to look at you weird, or they want to treat you funny. I mean, yeah, it's fuck them if they're doing that. But at the same time, you got to realize, at the end of the day, like, that split moment of them acting like that, they got to go right back to their reality. So I'm just going to continuously keep doing me, and I'm going to find happiness in whatever I'm doing. Because believe it or not, when you do go outside and touch grass and you are around people, and you disconnect from worrying about what everybody else is thinking about you and what everybody else is going to do or judge about you, and you're just sitting there observing people just living their life, it's a peaceful feeling. It's a very peaceful feeling just to fall into that cloud of realizing that I'm just existing right now as a human. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not weird. You know, I may be damaged inside from bad experiences, but that does not mean that I have to go my whole life operating in that programming that everybody's going to do me bad. Everybody's going to do me wrong. And once I realized that, I was able to balance out being social and antisocial, realizing that nobody cares about me like that. I'm just another person, just another human being to somebody else, you know? And you got to let go of the past. That you got to let go of the past. And I think people that are antisocial, that choose to stay out of society, they live in the past. They worry too much about what other people are going to do or what they think. And because I was that person, and I know that's how they think. That's how they operate, you know? And the only way to break out of that is to realize that if I go out to this event, I'm going out to this event for me. I'm not coming here to meet friends. I'm not coming here to get a girl's number. I'm not coming here to be seen. I'm just coming out because I want to go out. I want to just enjoy my night or my evening. And once you start doing things for you, then you start worrying less about people. And then that way you take the power away from people to make you feel bad about yourself in any kind of way. Because at the end of the day, they're dealing with stuff behind closed doors that they're not going to tell you face to face. So who cares? We're all fucked up. Don't that feel good that we all fucked up? We all fucked up. Let's have an all fucked up party, huh? Invite all your friends. We all fucked up. So end of the day, it don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, being antisocial, I understand it, because I was in that space in my life. But now, as I've grown out of that, and I feel like I'm balancing it out a little bit. I still have my moments where I do disconnect from everything, and I just fall right back to my old ways of being and thinking. But for the most part, I understand how to pull myself out of there. The rope to that dark tunnel is still there for me to grasp onto and climb out of, because I know how to grasp it, and I know how to climb it, versus just not knowing how to get out of there, you know? But I understand it, though. I get it. Some of us are really just damaged, you know? But at the same time, you still have to find a way to enjoy your life, because you only get one. And that's how I feel about it. That's really how I look at it. So that's just my thoughts. That's my opinion on it, man. Peace.